Hello and welcome to Community Report. I'm Vicki Pritchard. Helen Chandler-Meyer is the president of Queen City Greyhound, and Adele Stephen is dog handler, I believe official title. And this is Derby, and this is Mary Ella, and I just want to play with these dogs right now. We can chat in the background, but let's just play with these dogs.
Absolutely.
But welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks so much for joining to tell us about this wonderful effort that you have, this wonderful work that you do.
Thank you.
Let's start. Give us some background about this particular breed. What is the history of the Greyhound?
The Greyhound has one of the longest histories of any dog breed around. They go back all the way to ancient Egypt and the walls of the pyramids. There are archives of the Greyhound on the walls sitting next to the pharaohs. So that's the Pharaoh Hound. So they go all the way back there. Fast forward a little bit to the Middle Ages, and they were the dogs of royalty. You had to be of royal birth to have a Greyhound, or it was considered a crime, and you'd be in the stocks.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Greyhound is kind of a misnomer. Gray is actually the hardest color to find. It's not related to the color of their coat. It's actually German. It's Germanic for Great Hund. So that's where we get the name from. They actually came over here during the 1920s from England, and they were used as jackrabbit hunters.
No kidding.
And out west. And when that was successful, like most men do, they want to see who's got the biggest and the fastest and the best. So the men out west would race their dogs.
No kidding.
So that's how we got Greyhound racing over in this part of the world. You're a big girl.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What a wealth of information you are about this beautiful breed. Let's just kiss. Let's just kiss throughout the show. That sounds like a wonderful time. Look, their disposition is just, it's so quiet and they're so graceful.
Very much so.
What makes this a perfect pet among those things?
They're very used to human contact. They are kept in a kennel of anywhere from 40 to 70 dogs. And they are kept in a crate, a 3x4 crate, for up to 20 hours a day. They're turned out 4 times a day, usually for an hour, and they know when they have to go potty when they're turned out. They usually eat in their crates. Oh, you like that, don't you?
Oh, yeah, that's the spot.
So their turnout time is their time to play and roughhouse and go to the bathroom.
Okay.
They're actually very easy for us to housebreak because they're used to that 4 times a day rotation. So it's more getting them into their foster's routine. And housebreaking is not usually an issue with a Greyhound.
Is that right?
But they come to us as a retired dog ready to begin their life as a retiree and their life as a pet.
Well, tell me how you came to found Queen City Greyhound. How did it start for you?
I have to thank my ex-husband, actually, because he wanted bigger dogs.
Well, there you
That's
go.
one thing I can thank him for. He wanted bigger dogs, and I don't like big dogs. I didn't like big dogs. I don't like dogs that jump on me.
Yeah.
And I went to a friend's home, and she was involved in Greyhound rescue. And she had 6 big dogs that greeted me at the back door, and I immediately felt my palms go sweaty, and I freaked out. And I remember saying, what is this? What are these dogs?
Yeah.
And so I sat on the floor. The dogs just rushed me, but then didn't do anything. And tell me more about this. And I had a golden retriever at the time.
Yeah.
And she was your atypical golden, didn't want another dog around, and was very much attached to my husband. And when the golden passed, I knew I wanted a Greyhound. I didn't know where it would lead, but I knew I wanted a Greyhound. And
little did you know.
Little did I know. 5 years later, we adopted our first Greyhound, and in the ensuing 5 years since that happened, 6 years since that happened, I fostered 23 dogs, and have adopted 4. And it's been a wild ride. It's been a great ride.
And Helen,
it's been a
that
great
is a
journey.
huge commitment.
It
Talk about, the industry of racing, of dog racing. And is it changing? Are there more regulations? Are states doing away with it?
There are fewer and fewer tracks with the economy the way it is. Come here, baby. With the economy the way it is, a couple of things are occurring. Tracks are not making the money they need to stick around.
Okay.
So the tracks are closing themselves, but also the breeders are being a little more selective.
Okay.
NGA greyhounds, which is National Greyhound Association greyhounds, are very strictly and tightly controlled with breeding. They're not like AKC dogs that you can just, they're not bred to be pretty like AKC dogs. They're bred to be healthy.
Okay.
With a retired racing greyhound, you are not going to have problems with hip dysplasia. They're going to have human illnesses. They're going to have cancers. They're going to have other issues. They're not going to have issues that you see in AKC bred dogs. They live to be 12 to 14 years old. The sooner we get them off the track, usually the healthier they are.
Oh, I'm sure.
Usually the longer they live. Not guaranteed by any stretch, but it's usually the way it works out.
In your experience, have they generally been healthy when they come to you?
Generally, yes. We usually have to do very little vet care for them except for spay or neuter and then a dental. The grays are fed 4 pounds of raw meat a day when they're fed. They're fed one time. And they found that the raw protein in the meat feeds their muscles better than cooked protein. So they get 4 pounds of raw meat with just a little kibble, some vitamins, maybe some canned vegetables thrown in for flavor. But that also sits on their teeth when they don't have the kibble to clean it off. So one of the big issues that grays have is bad teeth, or they can have bad teeth. And sometimes genetically they're also predisposed to having bad teeth. So they get a dental when they come to us. They're given a heartworm test. There are also shots, or anything that they need is made up to date so that they're current with their shots. You got a hair in your eye. But that's kind of what we do. That's the part that we absorb as an organization.
It's not inexpensive.
No, it's not inexpensive. It's very expensive.
I mean, I'm just figuring up the cost. I have dogs too. And
I have to give credit to, we work with Dr. Korfman, Dr. David Korfman at Animal Care Center, and he works with us knowing what we do, and he helps us tremendously with our efforts, and certainly his knowledge, and he knows when he's in over his head, and he's, he also knows how to help us out as well. So they're awesome.
Well, tell me, what is the process exactly when someone comes to you and they're interested, they say, I would like to adopt? What happens next?
Ask them to go to the website, and everything can be done online, electronically submitted. All of our dogs that we have currently available will be in picture form, as well as a brief bio. Their pedigree will also be online with their picture, and they can fill out an application. We do ask for 3 personal references, and those are checked. We also ask for a vet. We ask for a vet reference if you have a current pet, just to make sure that if you have pets, are you keeping them up to date with their care. And then we also will do a home visit. And the home visit is not to come in and do a white glove test in your house. It's just to make sure that we're going to look at it from the eyes of a greyhound and try to make sure that this is going to be successful for both you and the dog as well as an adopter. And it's basically saying if there's anything that would be tragic if it would happen to get broken or chewed or knocked off a table, you might want to just put it away until the dog gets a little more comfortable. So it's going to be sitting and looking at it from a greyhound's point of view, and that's the home visit. Looking at the fenced yard, or looking at your door situation. We talk a lot about have one door that your dog goes out to go to the car, one door that your dog goes out to go to the backyard. I don't think my dogs, when I lived in a house, even knew what the front door was, because they never went out the door. That was just not something that they even realized. The doorbell ringing didn't equate to them to somebody came in that door and I'm allowed to go out.
Is that right? Interesting.
Yeah, they're not big barkers either, so that's always nice.
So quiet.
Yep.
What makes for a good home for a greyhound? Are there particular features that you would recommend?
A lot of love for a dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Greyhounds aren't special because they're sight hounds. Greyhounds are special because of their upbringing. So there are some things that you need to remember when you are adopting a grey. As we spoke earlier, they've never seen grass. They've never seen glass. They've never heard a telephone ring. They've never seen a TV. Wow. So all of those things are new to them, and they need to adapt. They've never seen stairs. They've never ever had to do stairs. So doing stairs is a challenge for them a lot of times. So looking at it through that lens is kind of important to our adopters, that you realize you're getting a special dog not because of its sight hound abilities, but just because of how it was raised for the previous years at the kennel. What makes them great pets is they don't bark. They're not a guard dog. If you're looking for a guard dog, they're going to ask the robber to please pet me before you go steal the china.
And how could they not?
Absolutely.
They're so graceful. Of course they would oblige.
Absolutely.
Adele, you work with these dogs on a regular basis?
I actually foster.
You foster?
Yeah, I foster. This is my foster dog right now.
Okay, so tell us what's life with Derby like right now?
It's great. I've had him for about 4 months, I think, and he's actually the longest one that I've had.
Is that right?
And I just teach him the basics. Like she said, walking up steps. He didn't know how to walk up steps, and I live in a 3-story condo.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of
what was that like?
a little,
was it entertaining?
little pushing, yeah. Now he's got it. He knows steps now. And then teaching him toys. He didn't know what toys
Is
were.
that right? Because
Which
I
is
guess,
sad.
they're not playing. That's
No.
not something
No.
they've done.
No, but yeah, just teaching him the basics and getting him acclimated to life and other people. Like when I first got him, he was a little weary of men.
Oh,
And now he is doing just great.
okay.
Yeah.
And you have other pets at home?
I have a 4-pound Chihuahua.
And are they best of friends? How did that work out?
Well, he does not mind the Chihuahua one tiny little bit, but my Chihuahua is such a bully,
Oh,
as
no.
most Chihuahuas
As one
are.
might expect, right?
But he could care less.
Oh.
Absolutely care less.
Oh, they're just so graceful. But I have to ask this question, which to me is what would weigh on my mind. When you foster them, how do you part with them? And I'm sure you're celebrating that they have a home, but I think I would weep on a regular basis every time I said goodbye. Did you, both of you weigh in?
There's always that dog that when you place them in the home, you cry.
Yes.
I remember the dog for me was Falcon Flyer, and I pulled out of the driveway and I cried my entire drive home, and I'm not going to foster. He was my 3rd foster, and I said, I'm never going to foster again. I can't go through this. He was an amazing dog, but I put him in a great home. I knew he was in a great home. And sure enough, 3 weeks later, someone called and said, hey, we need a foster. Can you take this boy in? And I was back on the horse again, fostering again. I failed on my 20th, and I failed on my 23rd.
Oh, is that
Those,
right?
those were my 2 failures that they came to my home and never left. So it was the best thing I ever failed.
Oh,
So.
yeah, that's a good failure.
That's, you always know, I've saved 4 dogs, but I've actually saved 27 because I've brought in the other 23 to my home, and they've gone on to find other homes. So you
Right.
save more by fostering than you do by adopting. That's just my own personal philosophy.
What do you think, Adele? Is this your
It's
first?
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. He's my, I think my 6th
Oh, is
that
that
I've
right?
fostered, and I cry every time.
Oh,
And I know I'm gonna cry with him. I know that.
it makes me sad just thinking about
Yeah,
it.
but like she said, when you foster and you give him up, that just means you get to save another one, your
That's
next
true.
foster.
That is true.
And right now, I know that I can't have a greyhound right now. I don't know where my life is going to take me in the next 5 years. So fostering is the best I can do. And also somebody in our organization always says the right dog at the right time.
Oh,
So I know that when the right one comes along,
True.
I'll snatch him up. But right
True.
now, not yet.
Oh, right now Derby looks like the right dog.
It's a great
And
dog.
you have some really impressive numbers in the dogs that you have found homes for.
Yes, we have.
Yay.
There we go. We have placed about 334 dogs
Wow.
since we started May 8th of 08. Queen City was started with just 6 individuals that had one common thing, and that was a love for greyhounds
that?
and a belief in, and we needed.
That's all right.
We
Derby can
needed.
join.
There you go.
Yes,
think?
you can
We needed to
participate in
have an
this.
organization that could service the Cincinnati area the way that we do it, and we do have a little different philosophy than some of the organizations in Cincinnati. We do adopt out to families that don't have fenced yards. We do adopt out to families with well-behaved children, children that are respectful of the dog space. One thing with greyhounds, they're not used to having humans in their face all the time.
Oh, I guess
And
that's
so
true.
they'll let you know when you're getting a little too close.
Do they? Okay.
And they'll let you know with a little bit of a, and they might just get up and move.
Yeah.
They might just, okay, you're too
Yeah, I
close
could
and I'm
see
going to go
that.
someplace else, because they're not used to it. They do. Greyhounds, we just had this situation recently. They sleep with their eyes open. They have a double eyelid.
I did not know that.
And it is to prevent the sand from blowing into their eyes
that
when they're
right?
running.
So
So
much
they
to
can
know.
sleep with their eyes open. And so you can
did
think
not
they're
know
awake and they're paying attention to you and they're sound asleep,
Sound
and
asleep.
you,
And that's an important thing. We'll just have a tangle of greyhounds here, won't we?
hi, you want to come up? Oh, I
Do you
know
want to
what you're
sit up here
smelling.
too? Oh, you smell some
She
treats. It's
smells the
treat time.
treats.
It's time for a
Can we do some
treat break.
treats? Here we go.
There you go. Very satisfying. That's all they wanted. And no barking for that. No,
No.
just outright flagrant begging. Just gentle suggestion. You might like to sit there, or perhaps we'll have a nibble.
There you go. What do you think?
Now, how do you get the word out about what you do in terms of both to the tracks, I guess, but also locally for people to know that you have dogs available?
We have a great relationship with Pamela Webb at Wheeling, and she runs the adoption kennel at the Wheeling
And
Downs
that's
track.
Wheeling, West Virginia?
Wheeling, West
Okay.
Virginia. And you know, she'll call and say, hey, I've got dogs, or are you ready for dogs? Or I'll call. It's usually me calling and saying,
Yeah.
we're ready to make a haul. We're going down this Saturday and we're bringing back 10. Bringing back 6 boys and 4 girls.
Wow.
And she just, you know, we walk in and say, oh, I want that one, and I want that one, and I want that one, and let's go. But then once we get back here, it's a matter of meet and greets. We're somewhere around the tri-state every weekend.
Is that
somewhere,
right?
Whether it's a PetSmart or a Party Source or we're some event somewhere with dogs. I'm still amazed 5+ years later into this that there are people that will walk up and say, I've never seen a greyhound before.
Is that
I've
right?
never petted a greyhound before. And I didn't know that they could be pets. How are they as pets?
Oh.
So we still have some education to do
Yes,
with
you
the public.
still that
But
education.
it's cool.
And are they immediately, do you find that they respond just beautifully to them upon first meeting?
Oh,
Are people
yes.
surprised?
I think people, they have a misconception that they're very high maintenance because they're racing dogs.
There is
and
that assumption. It's going to
Yeah.
be doing a loop around the house, I
absolutely.
guess.
It's going to be, you know, Jack Russell-ish,
Yes.
Russell-ish
Yes.
bouncing off the walls. And it's just, that's not the case at all. They'll sleep 16 to 18 hours a day without thinking about it.
Oh, is that right?
They're just very calm. They're retired. They take it seriously, and this is my new life. I think as a foster for me, the biggest thing is how easily they slide into retired life. They'll watch the other dogs and they'll go, okay, I can do this.
Is that right? That really is exceptional how they do that they just acclimate that instantly.
And they follow the lead of the other dogs you have in the house quite quickly.
What do you attribute that to?
I think part of it is just they start going to school when they're 6 to 9 months old, and they take them out, you know, about a year old, they're figuring out, you know, okay, we're going to be chasing these little white fluffy things.
Right.
And they've got them learning to the backwards oval, and they've got them actually schooling them. And so I think that's part of it. They're naturally inquisitive. They want to learn. They want to figure things out. We've had a lot of our dogs that are trained to hand signals. A lot of our dogs are bell trained to go outside. The people hang a bell on the door and they ring the bell when they want to go outside. We've got some that aren't the sharpest tools in the shed, but we've got plenty of smart ones too. We've got a lot of really, you know, quick dogs. But they want to please. The Greyhound wants to please their people, and they will do whatever it takes to make you happy and to get. They don't like being told no. They don't.
is
It
that
kind of hurts
right?
their feelings, and you can see their
they're
head
very
hang.
sensitive.
They are. They're very sensitive.
Well, you have such an incredible, impressive wealth of knowledge about the breed. When you first began, did you spend time at tracks as well? Did you watch how they were trained?
I did. I used to teach, so and I used to teach history, so
Okay.
that used to be that's kind of my gig. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy learning. So when I kind of figured out this was where my path was taking me, I read a lot, and I watched a lot, and the first time I went to the track, I wasn't sure what I was going to see.
Right.
I wasn't sure, was I going to see something that was going to like make me have nightmares for the rest of my life? It was
That's
just like,
what I would have feared, yeah.
and I was astounded at the passion that these people had for the dogs that they had in their care, and how they knew, the gentleman that we were working with could tell me something special about every dog that was in the track, in the kennel, excuse me, and it just kind of, and I have a weird memory. I can, if there's a dog that we've placed in the last 5 years, I can probably tell you where it is. And
Is that right?
yeah, it's a sickness.
Oh no, I think it's an indication of an absolute passion. You are the right person to be
Yes.
doing this.
Yep.
And how many people do you have fostering for you?
Currently, as of this weekend, we're going to have 15 dogs in foster care.
Okay.
And so we've got 15 volunteers, and they know that when they take on a foster dog, they keep it until it gets adopted. And sometimes that may be 2 weeks, sometimes that may be 4 months.
And I'm sure there's probably a very thorough screening for anyone who wants to foster.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as an adoption application.
Okay.
We'll come out and we'll talk to you, and usually, in all honesty, a lot of our foster families come from previous adopters.
Okay.
They decide that they want to help out as well, and that's usually where a lot of our fosters come from.
Nice.
They see one, and maybe they want to. They're thinking about adopting a second, but they want to try it on for size first to see if it
Yeah.
really works.
Sure.
So that's where a lot of ours. But we've picked up several fosters in the last several months that just have met us out and about at different festivals over the summer, and they want to join the Greyhound Club.
Who wouldn't? Well,
Yeah.
and for people who do want to find out more, where is there a website? What do they do? Is there a place they can go? They can begin?
Sure. Our website is www.queencitygreyhounds.org. And all of the information is on there as far as fostering, adopting, who's available, who's coming up. We also have our blood donor dogs who will be coming out in September. We have 2 blood donor dogs.
And what is that?
Greyhounds, because of their pure nature, their pure pedigree, over 80% of them are blood donor dogs, which means they're able to donate to any other canine in need.
Is that right?
And I've recently found out that they can also donate to felines as well.
No.
So we have,
I didn't mean no.
we
to
have
you.
two big males at Grady Veterinary Clinic, which also partners with us. And Grady keeps 2 dogs. They're a 24-hour emergency clinic, and they
Okay.
keep 2 of our dogs on site for blood donor purposes. And they'll keep them for 6 months, and then when their 6-month tour of duty is over, then they come back to us to be adopted out, and we replace them with 2 more. So we've got 2 current Grady dogs that will be coming out in September. Yeah, and then
That's
we're going to replace
fascinating.
them with two new donor boys.
Just fascinating.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Helen, you have a wonderful event coming up, Grazing Gifts.
Correct. It is September 7th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Sports Express. It's off 741 in Mason. We've got over 55 vendors that have human handcrafted items as well as pet items as well. We also have Brugger's Bagels is going to be there, Stuffers, J Gumbo's is going to be selling food. And we're also going to have an indoor and an outdoor meet and greet, so all of our new dogs that are coming up on Saturday will be there as well. So we'll have
Outstanding.
a great time to actually put your hand on a greyhound.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And help us out as well.
And for many a first glimpse, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
What a wonderful opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. I can only imagine anyone watching the show is not immediately at their keyboard on their computer saying, I want one. Ladies, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining
much
us.
for
What
having
a
us.
pleasure chatting with you and learning so much about this absolutely beautiful, regal breed. I'm Vicki Pritchard. You've been watching Community Report. Thanks so much for watching, and please join us again next week. If you're a community leader and interested in being on Community Report, give us a call here at the ICRC 772-4272.